Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode of Booked. I'm your host, Saffron Asteria, and I'm joined today by Daniel Radford. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
All right is the best we can hope for.
We take those.
Exactly. I'm worried about the day that somebody says I'm having a horrible time because I'm not going to know what to do about it.
Chances are pretty high that even if they are, they will lie.
I know that's the fantastic part about human interactions, especially with people that you don't know very well. So that's helpful. But anyway, we're here to talk about you and your work. And so you're an author, a poet, a podcaster. You've got a lot going on. So creatively, you have like lots of different things that you can play with, which is very cool. So I'm looking forward to talking about all of them. But the first thing that I want to ask you is, what sorts of things do you write?
Well, the short answer to that is everything.
Brilliant. We'll have a
Uh,
lot to talk about.
yeah. The the longer form version of that, I guess, is that I kind of adamantly refuse to be pigeonholed into any one specific genre or medium or target audience.
Mhm.
I love storytelling in all of its forms, and I am inclined to try as many of them as I can. I'm mostly a prose person. I dabble a bit in poetry. I've dabbled
Mhm.
a little bit in screenwriting that will never see the light of day, probably. Um, but it's mostly my books and my short stories, which
Mhm.
tend to be, I guess. Well, I mean that's where it gets tricky. I guess I was gonna try and narrow it down to a genre there, but I really can't. Like,
No.
you, I guess broad spectrum. I do a lot of stuff in the space of like literary, thriller, dramatic kind of area, and a bit of horror and
Mhm.
that sort of space. But I've I don't think there's any genre at this point I haven't at least dabbled in a little bit, short of like erotica.
Will that ever be on the cards?
Um, that depends how much you pay me.
That's a fair answer. I like that. I like that very much. I don't know that I could write it without giggling a lot. I don't know that I would have the skill to do it correctly.
Yeah, I didn't say it'd be good.
Yeah, that's true. You did not. You did not say that. So, do you have like a preference for what you enjoy the most in terms of genre, or is it like whatever the story is and like whatever it ends up being is the genre that it is?
Yeah, I never really seek out to write a specific genre outside of when I have to write the stories for one of my podcasts because
Yeah.
we do a theme cycle every month, and the fourth episode of every one of those is I write something for the theme. So
Mhm.
sometimes I'm kind of force myself into a genre that way, but outside of that, I don't really aim to write specific genres as much as I will have a story idea that I want to tell, and I
Mm.
will write that story and I'll figure out what it is after the fact.
No, that makes sense. I think a lot of people do that unless they're like labeling themselves as a, for example, fantasy author or horror author. But I often see people like dabbling in different genres and they're going, no, no, I like the one I like. um,
Yeah,
but I think it's a lot more fun to like not restrict yourself in that way because then you don't have to like force it into this format or like have already set out expectations of how you need to present that story.
yeah, that's kind of a big thing for me is that I'm very big on the idea that if you go, I'm going to write a fantasy story,
Mm.
you've already set an idea in your head of what you're going to do, what like tropes you have to fit in, what conventions you need to fit.
Oh, for
Whereas if you
sure.
go, this is the story I want to write, and then you write it and you go, oh, well, I guess it's a fantasy story, or I guess it's a horror story.
Yeah.
And like, there's nothing wrong with going like I'm a horror author, and that's the way I want to focus on
Mhm.
writing. It's just that I think that you inadvertently pigeonhole yourself by doing that.
I totally agree. And I think like so when I first set out to write the sort of longest thing that I've written so far, I was like, this is going to be a sci-fi thriller, and I read it back to myself, and I was like, this is not. This is horror. Like I didn't realize that's what I'd done because I was like, I'll label it this way, but then I kind of ignored myself. And it just goes to show you just don't know what's going to come out of your head sometimes.
I mean, there's no reason that a sci-fi thriller can't also be a horror. To be fair,
This is true, but it makes it awfully hard to market.
Yeah, no, I understand why we have such now because marketing, like trying to figure out what genre some of my stories are to like market them has been a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is genre is really broad, and there's a lot of like blurred areas and crossover and.
I think if you have like a distinctive style, you can really get away with it as well. Because if people just enjoy your writing, then they're happy to come on the journey with you. But I think people that are like, I will only read this type of thing, it's hard to market to those types of people. But I read a couple of your short stories because I love horror. I went with Stare and The Watcher. And firstly, with The Watcher, I think Cyril is an absolutely diabolical name. Like it's a fantastic choice.
I've written so many of these short stories. My brain is going, okay, I know those two vaguely what they are.
But yeah, so they both were like similar in the sense of like someone is being watched in some sort of way and people don't believe them. And then I picked up on this like underlying theme of like mental health, and like I don't want to say psychosis, but like people seeing things that.
In one of them, it definitely was a little bit, at least.
Yes.
More vague in the other one.
So, is that something that you like care about quite a lot, or does it kind of? I feel like mental health and horror kind of go hand in hand. They're like besties. So, yeah, is that something that you sort of touch on in a lot of your work, or was it just a coincidence because of the types of stories that I read of yours?
I don't know if it's something I specifically seek out to write about a lot. That seems to be the answer to all your questions.
That's fine.
It definitely comes up. I mean, I'm just a walking compressed mass of mental health issues myself, so it's liable to show up in my writing. I don't think those specific issues are really something that thematically has a lot to do with me necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, but when my mind goes to some pretty dark places, so it's kind of bound to show up in my stories, I think. And I kind of found those ideas of, I suppose for let's see if I get this right around. I think The Watcher is the one I'm thinking of. It's always good when an author can remember their own stories.
You've got a lot of stuff out there. Don't be too hard on yourself.
I do think that there is now a plane flying overhead. I hope the audio catches that. I do think that I am someone who gets quite irritated by inaction. And I think that it's very easy for us to sort of sit here and go, well, I'm not part of the problem, whilst doing nothing to fix it. And I understand there's limits to that. When we're talking like massive, large-scale issues, obviously, individuals have very little power to do that. But when it comes to stuff like what's going on in that story, very like social situations, bullying, blackmail, that sort of thing. If you're just watching from the outside, you are a part of the problem, and that's definitely something I feel very strongly about. And I guess I'm also, in this day and age, very aware of the influence the Watcher can have on a person, be it playing up for the audience or feeling like everyone is staring at you and not helping or whatever, things like that. I definitely think that it's easy to see why I would have those ideas, and I think why anyone would want to write in that sort of space.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And Sarah's got a good point here. So the best part of being an indie author is getting to choose what it is you're doing and making it all up. And that's slightly a reference to what we were talking about earlier, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like you can kind of like force this fictional narrative, but then you also, as you just sort of mentioned, like when you really care about something, it gives you the perfect vehicle to like provide people with difficult things to digest in a more digestible format, which is, I think, is a really important job. Like being able to show people like a different perspective, or a different way of navigating the world in a way that doesn't like feel like judgy. I think is a really good way of helping to change people's hearts rather than like making them feel bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that the flexibility of being an indie author, being not being like beholden to the whims of big commercial publishers, is nice. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't want to imply that doing it the indie way is necessarily better. It has its own downfalls too, but I think
Oh,
that's
sure.
definitely a strength of it, and it definitely suits me as someone who has a lot of things that I have opinions about. Uh, And it's like you said, and I am going to say something incredibly pretentious now, but I do
Oh, do
think that
it.
our society is in a lot of ways very much shaped by the art we produce and consume, and always has been. So I
Oh, I
think
totally agree.
it is a good way. Fiction is a really good way to get those ideas out there in a way that is easier or more palatable for people to consume. And I
Hmm.
think it often surprises people when they think about it how much the media they have grown up on or even watch today
Hmm.
has influenced their mindset.
Oh, definitely. I think I think sometimes like, so I don't know if you spend much time on social media. I'm going to assume like a medium amount, or what's
Yeah,
like
that's reasonable. I'd say a medium
necessary.
amount is pretty fair.
I went through a phase like trying to promote this show and trying to promote my website and other people and all this sort of thing. And I was finding myself spending so much time like doom scrolling. Like that's the perfect way of describing it. And I was so miserable, and I was finding myself like really unmotivated to write or produce anything of any worth. And recently, I decided to like delete all of the apps off of my phone and become, or try to be a bit more conscious about what I was consuming. And now I'm like, instead of scrolling on fucking 12, I can swear it's my show, on Twitter or like whatever it is, I'm now picking up books during that period of time. So like not just when I'm in bed reading. And it has genuinely changed my motivation to create. Like, so going back to what you said about, we're shaped by the media that we consume. It's exactly right. Like when you have these like vapid, like nonsensical, just like bollocks that you're just looking at on social media, it's not inspirational in any way. It's just miserable. Whereas if you pick up something that actually excites you, it makes such a huge difference.
It's funny you say that because I feel like a lot of my stories are, in a way, inspired by all the vapid negative bullshit out there.
Well, I'm glad that
Because,
it can inspire you because it really
yeah,
doesn't for me.
no, that's fair. It's just, because, again, I'm a very opinionated person.
Mhm.
And, obviously all that negative stuff, both, just from small scale individual bickering and
Mhm.
then the larger stuff, political stuff and all that, that I definitely have thoughts about. It's it's hard not to include that sort of stuff in my writing. I think it's
Mm.
so baked into like who I am that I'll see something that's going on in the news or someone points out on social media, or I'll watch a documentary about some horrific atrocity that's been going on for like 50 years and no one's done anything about, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, well, I guess that's a story now.
Do you think, like, just personal opinion for you, do you feel that writers have a responsibility to address these things? Or is that a personal thing
Oh,
for you?
that's tricky. I think that writers and other artists are in an important position. Like I
Mm.
said, the things we put out there shape so much of culture and society in the long run.
Hmm.
Uh, Especially if you are a bigger writer.
Hmm.
So not me yet. Uh,
Yet.
but by the same count, like I don't think it's an inherent thing that if you are a writer, you have to tackle these hard issues. I
Mhm.
think you'll be surprised how much of them find their way into your work unintentionally anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a responsibility that if you are going to write about it,
Hmm.
you do so in a way that is informed and genuine, as opposed to tokenism or
Yeah.
irresponsible or promoting the evil side. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, no, 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 no. Unless you are an actual cartoon villain, in which case, do you do you? I just realised that I had the wrong microphone connected. I hope this is more clear.
That is a lot more clear. I
Oh, I
wasn't going
didn't
to say anything. I
realise.
was. It's been a little bit since I've listened, so I was just assuming that was the norm.
Daniel, no, I had the wrong microphone because I was like, what the hell is going on? I could see like this weird wiggliness going on when you were talking. I was like, that shouldn't be happening. Fantastic. So anyone that was listening before that dropped out because my audio was terrible, please come back. It is okay again. Sorry about that. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think if you're in a position of like power or influence, there is this like assumed responsibility to do something about stuff, the things that are affecting the masses, or injustices and things like that. But I also sort of respect people that just kind of keep their head down a little bit and don't like. It's really hard to take a stance on things publicly, I think, because there's always going to be the other side of it that have the power to like find out where you live and cause you grief, and it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, it's. I definitely understand the concern and the fear and all that. I'm generally pretty open about the things that I have thoughts about.
Hmm.
Uh, God knows if anyone is brave enough to browse through my Twitter, you are going to see a lot of political commentary. But I do think that as a person, as a member of society, you have a responsibility to engage with these things.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And participate in these things and do what you can to make the world a better place in the present and future. But I don't think that your art that you're producing for people's entertainment inherently has to be a part of that. You
Hmm.
have to do something, it just doesn't have to be that.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it is each to their own at the end of the day, because some people create art because they want to escape all of the responsibility of knowledge and being informed, because that can be a
Yeah.
very stressful thing. Very occasionally, I do feel a little bit envious of those who are less informed and are just bumbling about having a great time. But then I'm like, well, that's not as responsible. So it's a bit of a funny one.
Yeah, I mean, they say ignorance is bliss for a reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that I would like, if I had the choice. I think I'd rather be informed and stressed than not.
Yeah, I'm the same, and it's completely counterintuitive because it drives me absolutely mad having the
Yeah,
knowledge,
same.
but I would rather know than be unaware of all the like horrible shit going on out there.
Absolutely. And it like sometimes we need a perspective shift, and sometimes we need like a reason to be and a reason to do. And sometimes that is our reason to do, our reason to tell a story, our reason to take action, or whatever the thing is. So with your work, so you obviously you write, so you have a couple of books out. I think I saw that you had 3 books out, and you have some short stories and poetry on your website, but you also have 2 shows, right?
Yeah, two podcasts.
So you've got Stories Across Borders and Fixation. Could you tell us a bit about those and why they sort of came about?
Yeah, so full disclosure, part of the reason I started doing the podcasting was to help promote the writing.
Oh, that makes
Um,
sense. That's
yeah,
very
it wasn't
normal.
the only reason,
Mhm,
but it was definitely a part of it. And I feel like it would be disingenuous not to acknowledge that as one of the reasons.
mhm,
But st- Stories Across Borders specifically came about because my friend John, who does most of the episodes with me, we'd gotten into this thing we were doing where we were trading media
mhm,
and sort of just going through it and comparing notes because both of us were constantly recommending things to each other and then just not having time to watch it or read it or whatever. So we started doing that this sort of trade tradition of, yeah, you go watch or read that, and I'll do that for this one, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of joked about doing it as a podcast for a while. And then I was like, yeah, I actually kind of need to do something to fill in the space between books because I'm not a particularly fast writer.
Okay.
And Stories Across Borders kind of grew out of that one and has since spiraled off into just being its own thing. We've done, we're almost wrapped up season 4. So
That's amazing.
Fixation didn't necessarily have the same origins. It was more just something I kind of did in a whim, honestly, where I was like, I really like hearing people talk about media that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And why not make a show out of it?
Why not, indeed? So
And
how
as an
far are
added
you through
bonus,
with that now? I'm sorry.
As an added bonus, I get to find out about a bunch of media I hadn't necessarily thought about, or I get an opportunity to nerd out about something with someone that I actually really like. So it's just added bonuses to that one.
It's amazing.
But how far? So season 2 is done. So Fixation only comes out in 6-episode batches.
Mhm.
So that one is done. Season 2 is out. I got the last episode up that I did with SS Fitzgerald about
amazing.
Jurassic Park. I think it was the week before last.
Sweet.
Yeah. That was a fun one because I love those books. Well, the book and love those movies. So
Yeah. I bet you had so much to talk about.
yeah. It's always good when I get an excuse to just nerd out for like an hour.
Oh, that's so nice. I know that you've interviewed a few people that I've also interviewed, and there have been a couple of times when you've interviewed people and they've messaged me and said, I just did an interview with a show with Daniel and I had a really good time. And I just want to thank you for being so kind to my friends.
I just want to thank you for sending them my way so I had a season 2 to do.
It's always a pleasure. I like with all the people that I talk to, everyone is just like so ready to do just the next show, because like people want a chance to get out there and get their names out there, and what a perfect way to do it is talk about things you love and things that influence you. What's been your favorite episode to record so far of Fixation?
Oh, that's hard, actually.
But you have to choose.
Oh man.
I'm gonna make you
I am. It could also be a little bit recency bias because that one I just talked about that I did with SS Fitzgerald was a lot of fun because again I just absolutely love those stories and he's clearly very into them as well. So we just basically went on a dinosaur fueled nerd rant for an hour.
Oh,
so
nice.
that was a lot of fun. So recency bias, possibly I might say that one just. But I don't think, there hasn't been one I haven't enjoyed.
Phew, you got me worried then.
I do need to go back and actually pick up It's Always Sunny again because you turned me onto that and that was a fun episode and I really did enjoy the show as well. So
it's so good. I literally just finished plowing through it again because before we recorded that episode of your show, go check it out by the way if you like It's Always Sunny.
Or if you don't, it's good
or
anyway.
If you don't, just go check out the podcast. I'm going to be putting the links to these in the description of this episode so people can go check out the shows. But I started rewatching it for the recording with you, and then I just carried on watching it. And I just finished watching it for like the 4th time or something stupid like that. I just can't stop watching them. It's just such a comfort show for me because they're all so ridiculous. Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time that has happened for someone I had as a guest on one of the shows or myself picked up something that I was like, okay, I've got to watch this or read this for the episode. And then gone, oh, I'm a fan now. Okay.
Oh, it's so nice. Have you, throughout the shows that you've done, where people have introduced new things to you, have you been like, oh, I don't really like this? You don't have to say what it is or who it is, but like, have you had to like force enjoyment in any way?
Honestly, no, not really. Like I'm genuinely I'm trying to think of examples, but like there's definitely been some things that we've picked apart that I've liked more or less, especially SAB because that's a lot more about analysis than just why I like this thing. But I don't think we've. There has to be one that we no there. You know what? There is an SAB episode that was absolute torture to do, and
Will you tell me about
I don't mind telling you which one it was either, because it was John's fault.
Okay.
We did a cycle on romance stories,
Okay.
and after we'd wrapped up the first, like the general, just talk about the broad sort of thing, we have we had episodes after that where we had to do specific pieces of media, and he was really struggling to pick one, and I don't remember which one of us said it, but I'm choosing to believe it was him. Made a joke about Twilight or 50 Shades of Grey. So we did a double episode on Twilight and 50 Shades.
That's amazing.
Which means I had to watch 50 Shades of Grey. I didn't read the book. I couldn't do it, but I watched the movie. And I remembered Twilight clear enough that I didn't have to go back and watch or read that again. Yeah. But that was painful. And just icing on the cake, he went into it having just done the Cliff Notes.
Oh, what a bastard. You should have done that.
He shows up and he's like, "Yeah, no, I didn't watch the movie. My partner wouldn't let me. Didn't want to be stuck in the house whilst I was torturing myself. So I just watched some essays and did the Cliff Notes. And I'm like, that is 2 hours of my life I'm never getting back, you bastard."
That is so evil, but also quite funny.
Oh, in hindsight, it's hilarious. Back to soundtrack. Terrible movie.
I don't think that it appeals to me in any way. Like, I don't mind like sex stuff and things like that. But I much prefer good things that are good and enjoyable.
I will never be one of those people who can watch something because it's so bad it's good. I will just be like, no, it's just bad.
Yeah, I remember when 50 Shades of Grey first came out and it was in the cinemas. I remember it was at the like 4D whatever it was cinema, and they advertised as having like vibrations in the seats and also smells. And I thought, what smells are they pumping into that cinema?
Oh no.
I don't like, to this day, I don't think I've ever found out, and I don't know that if I want to. I thought maybe it would be latex or something. But
I mean, surely.
I don't know.
That's the best option it could be.
That I agree. I feel like that would be like the family friendly.
There's nothing about that movie that's
But I imagine like whatever sense they get. I don't know if they ever did it again.
I can't imagine they did.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, that was just something that was in my head when as soon as people say 50 Shades, I go, oh, I wonder what that smell was. That's the first thing that happens in my mind.
Look, I'm sure there's worse intrusive thoughts you can have.
Oh, definitely. I just going back to Twilight, I remember when the books came out and I absolutely fucking loved them. I loved them as I was a teenager, so obviously it was like very exciting. And I was a big fan of vampires anyway. I still am. But I used to be too. And I remember like the films coming out and not really liking them. And then as I got older, I was like, yeah, it's cool to hate Twilight, but actually I really enjoyed them as a kid. And I think we should remember like some pieces of media, whether it's books or films or whatever, are like really good for you at the time.
Yeah, you see, I went on a very long rant actually about how those stories are actually extremely unhealthy. So I'm probably
they're awful.
Yeah,
they're awful. But like in terms of like, it's much better that I was reading than like, I don't know, drinking. I was drinking as well. But it's much better that I was reading than not being.
Look, it's probably better for you than crack.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that, and there's some good bits in there.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Man. I mean, look, it spoke to my hormone-addled brain as a child, and that's good enough for me. But
All right,
also,
I
oh,
read
hang on,
them.
wrong one.
They were bought as a gift for me by people who clearly didn't know me very well. I read
That's
them all.
amazing. That's amazing. I love that. I will also agree with Bill. I'm not sure who you are, but thank you for being here. Sinners is an excellent vampire movie. I totally agree with you. It is.
I have not seen it.
Daniel!
Yeah, no, I
Watch
don't
it.
actually. I don't really know anything about it.
You don't have to watch it. I would advise that you do because I think you would probably enjoy it. It
You're probably
is.
right.
It's
You're
fabulous. It's
you haven't
incredible.
led me astray yet, so
Oh, that's nice. Apart from with Twilight, but I wasn't recommending it to you. I just said I liked it as a kid.
uh,
I no, I think Sinners is just excellent. It's one of the best vampire movies I've seen. Because like it's just rooted um in a culture that I am not very familiar with, and I found that to be deeply helpful to me. And it was in a format that I really enjoyed, and I thought the acting was just superb, and the soundtrack is absolutely incredible. Like it's a stunning film. It's very very good.
oh, I'll have to look into it then.
Yeah, it's really good. I
Add
actually
it to
didn't
the
know it was a
list.
vampire movie. I had no idea it was a vampire movie. But I ended up watching it and I was like, this is fucking excellent. I really loved it. It stuck with me
I
for a while.
I did write a vampire short story for one of the cycles at one point.
Did
Um,
you?
I did. I
Oh,
think. Yeah, we actually did a cycle on vampires. I think.
oh, I'll have to go back and
Um,
listen to that.
yeah, I think that's the cycle we lost one of the episodes actually. But
Oh,
yeah, I did something called. God, that's a long title. It was a vampire's treatise on vampirism.
oh,
It was like
interesting.
some horror thing. The whole thing was like this vampire's personal diary where he was half waxing poetic, half philosophizing, just about the how to be an ethical vampire.
Oh, I like that. That's nice.
Yeah,
Awesome. I'll have to
like I
go back
said,
and check those out.
like I said, I've written just about everything.
You have. You've written every flavor of ice cream. I don't know why I said that. That's what I must be hungry. I don't think I've ever said those words together in my life, but now here we are. Jesus Louise. So, as well as doing all of those things, I'm gonna share something that you're doing that I'm not going to give too much information about because it's your thing. But you're putting together an anthology, I hear.
You hear as if you're not in it.
I'm going to be. You've asked me to write a story for it, but I would like to know a little bit more about it. Or I'd like the audience to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, imagine you know a bit.
Yeah, I know a bit. I know what's going on, but I don't want to. I don't want to share your news for you. I'd like you to tell people.
Yeah. Well, it's still early days. Yeah, it's but it should theoretically be out later on in the year. No set date or anything just yet. But it is an anthology series. I'm calling DNA because I'm very pretentious, as we've established, and I really liked the idea of going, what if I took a bunch of different authors who all have different styles and different genres and different
Mhm.
target audiences and gave them the same basic theme to work from and see what like grew out of that theme. Hence,
Mhm.
DNA. They all share the DNA. There's the pretentious bit. And this first attempt at the anthology is themed around the idea of the monkey's paw.
Mhm.
So everyone in it is going to be writing in some way about there's the crickets about someone's wish gone horribly wrong in some way.
Mhm.
But there will be no confines based on genre, no confines based on style or
Mhm.
target audience or anything like that. Everyone is very much going to be doing their own thing. So it's kind of weird for an anthology, I guess, but
I don't know that it's necessarily weird at all because I mean, I've never been asked to be part of an anthology, and I was asked to be part of two in a very short space of time, which was very strange. Must be something in the air. But there's another anthology that I'm a part of, and I think Sarah's a part of as well. called Rings of Adventure, which sounds like fantasy, but they've done a very similar thing, like got people from every sort of genre, and said the theme is rings, run with it, like do whatever you want. And it was actually quite freeing. So I've been very excited about writing the story for your anthology, because I had one in mind that I've been putting off writing because I think it's going to be quite sad. But it's quite fun. It's been a really fun, like, prompt to play with. I'm very excited about it. I think it's really good.
Everyone that I told the prompt to immediately did have that same sort of response to go, huh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. No, it was great. It's a really, really good prompt. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So how many writers do you have sort of committed at the moment?
Oh boy. Off the top of my head, I was aiming for in the realm of 12 to 15. I think I've got 14 or 15 for it.
Oh, sweet.
Everyone who is doing it is locked in at this point.
Oh, that's sweet. So, that's really good. Awesome. So you've had submissions so far?
Yeah, they're coming in. I haven't got all of them. I don't think I've even quite hit half yet. The people are getting their stories in already.
Yeah, again, I've had, like, when because I know a couple of the people that you have on this list of writers, and again, I've had messages from them saying, I just sent my story into Daniel. And it's really cute. So it's very nice. It's really cool that, like, so we were introduced by Sarah Arnu, who is lurking in the chat at the moment, and you had me on your show, and I was like, well, now we need to have you on my show. And in between that, I've sort of put you in contact with people I know, and then you've given them an opportunity to be in an anthology. And I think that whole, it's just, I freaking love how things work out like that. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's funny because if you take it even further back, that whole thing spiraled out because Sarah posted a tweet about wanting to be in more podcasts.
How funny.
Right when I was like, I need guests, actually.
Amazing. Do you know what? I think if you target writers, and by target I mean that in, like, the nicest way. If you target writers as, like, your guests, and this goes for anyone that's talking about, like, doing a podcast, especially around books and writing and things like that, anything to do with that. If you just put a tweet out there or a post saying, like, I'm looking for guests, they're like ravenous creatures.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know what, maybe it's just me, but I actually have historically not had a super easy time finding other people to be guests and things like that. And then, in part because of your help, I suppose, in the last few months, I've had no problems whatsoever finding guests for anything or collaborators for anything.
Yes. Excellent.
And that's not just books and stuff either. Of other stuff I'm working on that I don't want to talk too much about in case it falls through.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's funny how things work out though, because I think I've built my sort of algorithm ecosystem on, like, asking the wider world like for something, and then they come back to me. That's kind of how it's always worked. And I've been very much like, I'm okay with being irritating to people and hassling them. And I think once you start, and this goes for like a technical point, once you start, like, interacting with people that have those things on, especially places like Twitter, where the algorithm is very, like, intense and calculated. Once you start interacting with those people, you start getting that feedback from the algorithm. It's very interesting. But that's why I think, like, people need to be a little bit more, like, conscious of what they're doing online, because what you put out there is what you get back a lot of time. And so if you, like, interact with, like, negativity, for example, that's all you're going to see. But if you, like, engage with things that are going to benefit you in some way, then you're going to see a lot more of that. So maybe that's why that's happened.
Yeah, that checks out. Thinking about the, again, numerous political rants I've posted.
I try not to have too much of an opinion online because people scare me. Like, I'm a quite opinionated person, but, like, privately, because I'm scared.
I think it's a reasonable fear to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like going back to the idea of the Watcher, isn't it?
Mhm.
I don't spend all of my time writing dissertations about philosophy and political ideas and why certain people are terrible, but
Mhm.
uh, I decided at one point that I wasn't going to be one of the Watchers.
And that's totally fair. And we can't all be watchers. Sometimes you have to be a doer or an essayer.
Yeah. A lot of that I put into stories and books
Mhm.
and things like that. I say as though books can't be stories. I
It's a form of story. It's okay.
I'm doing a really good job of selling the idea that I'm great with words, which is very important in this industry.
I would just like to address that, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Very few writers are good talkers.
And yet
That's
none
all I'm
of us
going to
want to
say on
shut
that.
up either.
Well, that's true. We love words, but some of it's just fucking word salad, which I think is one of the best phrases ever. And most of my favorite like writers are just not very good with words with their mouths, and that's okay. That's why we write, because it's easier, or it's easier to express ourselves anyway. Also, you can erase things and start
Yep.
again.
And editors. Thumbs up for editors.
We love them. We love them. Editors are like our lifeboats. That's a terrible analogy. Anyway, going back to things that you're doing. So you have the anthology that you're working on at the moment, and you have your shows, obviously. You've got your work that people can go check out. Oh, we'll have a little QR code. If anybody wants to go check out Daniel's work, and there will be a link in the description of the episode as well. So this QR code will go to your website, and that has like all the links for your shows and your writing and the all the sort of stuff that you've got going on. But on the 24th of August, well, where I am in the world, it'll be the 25th of August where you are in the world. You will be doing a reading on the second episode of the Booked Selection Box, which is very exciting.
Yep, I am in fact going to be there for that.
I am super pleased that you are going to be there for that. So are you able to tell us what you're going to be reading, or are you not sure yet?
No, I have struggled a bit with it, but I've pretty much narrowed it down.
What sort of thing are you going to read? You don't have to say exactly what it is.
No, I mean, it's not exactly a big secret, I don't think, unless it is. I've never done one of these before, you tell me, but
that's okay.
I'll be reading a short segment from Marble, which is my second novel.
Amazing. I gave the wrong date, by the way, when I said that, because I wrote down August in my notes. It's not August, it's July. Thank you, Sarah, for drawing that to my attention, because I was not listening to what I was saying. But it's the 24th of July, so it's in a couple of weeks. But the episode link is in the YouTube channel for Booked at the moment, so you can go find it. And if I put the correct date on there, you'll be able to see that that is the date. It's the 24th of July. Or if you're in where Daniel is in the world, in Australia, it will be the 25th of July. My apologies, Sarah. Can't believe I did that. I said August twice, did I? That's hilarious. Okay, well, it's July, not August. This is going really well for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're on a roll with dates at the moment.
Honestly, I'm literally, I think I am like, I think I have some issue with numbers. Because I always struggle with dates. Also, I speak to people from all over the world, and I'm used to like a specific date format. And now I live in America, and the date format's flipped around, and it does confuse me all the time. We're gonna go with that.
Time zones and the fact that the Americans, no offense to Americans in general, but the fact you guys insist on using a different system to everyone else for everything has caused me no end of problems.
Yeah, it is challenging, especially when it comes to like immigration stuff, because I thought that my green card expired on one day and it was another day. And thankfully, I had an extra 2 months out of it. But it really confused me because it's the wrong way round. Anyway, and also nobody uses a 24-hour clock here. Do you use the 24-hour clock?
No, we don't. It is objectively better.
I love it.
The Europeans have got it right, but it's. I guess I can't talk too much shit about the Americans because we have not adopted the 24-hour clock, even though we really should.
I mean, you can. There's nothing stopping you.
I try. I use it a bit.
I find it really handy, but my husband checked the time on my phone the other day because I was like, "Oh, what time is it?" And it was like, "Oh, yes, 17:23, the magical time of the day." I was like, "All right, you put the dates the wrong way around." Fabulous. So, I have a couple of questions about your writing. If we could go back a little bit. So,
I'm sure that's what we're here for, right? Not to complain about numerical systems.
Look,
welcome to Books, the math podcast.
Welcome to Mathed. God, I'm losing it. I've got like Monday madness, I think, and I don't really know what that means, but I feel it in my bones and my brains. In terms of your writing, so I know that you said that you don't like write a specific genre, or you don't set out to anyway. But do you find that you write more for yourself, or do you write for an audience?
Oh man, not the first time that I've dealt with this question, and it is always hard to answer because it's just like, yes.
Cool. Next question.
Both are good. I write for myself. Sure. I mean, every author, I think, writes for themselves because if we didn't put our stories on paper, we would go crazy.
Crazy. Yes.
Yeah, but by the same count, there are ideas I want to express to people. There are stories I want to tell to people. So it would be a lie if I said I wasn't also writing for an audience. I don't think I'm trying to necessarily stick to any specific conventions. Like, I'm not marketing to a specific audience, which is probably hurting me in the long run, if I'm honest. But I definitely write for an audience, hypothetically. I just also write for myself.
Well, I think that's important, though, because, like, this isn't... I wouldn't say that people should necessarily bank on going into writing and storytelling as like a main source of income or a way to like get rich or whatever, because that's such a difficult thing to achieve. So if you don't enjoy the thing that you're doing, what's the point in doing it? Like, you have to put in so much time and effort and money and, you know, blood, sweat and tears into creating something that if you do it because you feel like you have to do it, I think you get a totally different product out of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, because I've written stories where I've done them because I have had to do them. You know, there are when we're recording SAB, I have to do a story a month, which means they are frequently kind of rushed or not bad. I promise. Most of them are actually still very good.
Phew, recovered with that one.
But there have been a couple where I'm like, and I've admitted even on the episodes, you know, there have definitely been a couple where I've been like, I could have done that better if I was doing this with more time, or if I was allowing myself more flexibility with the idea. Or to date, there has only been one where I didn't publish the text version on my site. So
interesting. Do you think that's something that you could recover from? Like, do you think you could shape the one that you didn't publish in text?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I for another episode even, because we did a cycle that was all about remakes and reimaginings. So I took that concept and did it again, and it still wasn't the best thing I've ever written, but it was a lot better than the first attempt.
That's a really good idea. I like that. That's cool. So what did you have to change about it to make it something that you're actually proud of?
Oh man. Wait a minute, I've had this conversation already. No,
You don't have to give me the intricacies, like overarching things that you changed.
The first version I did was for a cycle on specifically about genre blending,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very much trying to balance drama and comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, drama's not really a real writing genre, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And in the end result was I had two very flat characters
Mm-hmm.
who weren't tragic enough because they weren't character enough for anyone to care about. And the comedy felt really forced because I was trying so hard to fit that genre blend. It very much felt like a writer trying to be funny rather than two people who weren't that funny telling jokes.
Yeah.
So in the new version, there's still a little humor in it, but I dialed back the humor and I killed one character before the story even began.
Oh.
And really lent into the isolation and tragedy and horror of it. So the original story was two guys in an escape pod in space floating away after this disaster. They were doomed. They were going to slowly die together, and it was two people laughing in the face of death, basically. And the remade version, one of those guys is already dead. The remaining guy calls him Wilson because he doesn't even know his name, because Castaway references, why not? And that is all about this guy slowly going a little bit crazy as he realizes that he is alone, slowly dying.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I write really happy things.
It certainly seems that way, yeah. Like, you write what you write, and it's totally fine. I mean, when you have something that you're not particularly happy with, that you have to like change at its core, how do you go about actually identifying the things that you don't like? Like, is it obvious to you, or sometimes do you need to do like a total rewrite to actually find out what it is that you're not happy with?
One of the benefits of doing the podcast, I mean, and the articles and all the stuff that I do, is that I've done a lot of media analysis and criticism at this point.
Yeah.
So between that and just having my own personal taste, it's usually not that hard to identify what I don't like about something I've written. Unfortunately, I am also a perfectionist. So 9 times out of 10, if I don't like something, I will just scrap it completely.
I mean, sometimes you have to recognize when something is like beyond saving, but do you ever like have that play in the back of your mind and think like, oh, I really want to be able to make this work? Or do you have like epiphanies much later down the line?
Oh, God, yeah. Like, there's this one thing I've been trying to figure out how to do in a way that's not crap for years. And every time I'm like, I think I've finally got it. I know how to make this story good. I'll like write out like an entire outline, and then I'll come back to it and be like, nope. So, one day you may theoretically see this this YA story, or maybe I'll just take parts of it, rip it apart, and stick it into other things, which I have already kind of done to an extent.
Well, that's definitely something that a lot of writers have said to me and sort of said during shows, is that like never get rid of anything because you could find somewhere to put it.
Yeah, I mean,
snippets and ideas and things.
Yeah, when it's sort of like when you have an idea and it doesn't work out, it's not like the idea goes away. I have a massive document that is just a list of ideas. Some of which have evolved into other things, and some of which haven't yet. And I will never get to the end of that list because it keeps growing.
Such is the life of a writer and creative. You're always going to have like random ideas that you want to become something, but life is only as long as it is. I think that's what scares me a lot, is that like how many stories are going to be unfinished or like will never see the light of day because of, you know, like inevitable death.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've thought about.
It's
And
sad.
it definitely shows up in my stories, this idea of, wanting to leave something behind,
Mm.
knowing I'm arguably entirely too young to be having that particular existential crisis, but I'm doing it anyway.
Oh, be who you want to be.
Yeah. Be who you are anyway.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's just an interesting idea, and there's a lot you can do with it, so you may as well tap into it. But yeah, I've definitely thought about that. Like wanting to make sure that the stories I have in my head are put out there, because otherwise they're just lost forever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you have to give them some like tangible form, whether it's just a quick scribble on a piece of paper, or you know, you've typed it up, or you've actually created a thing, or you've made a short film or drawn something, or whatever the thing is. Like, you've made it exist. And that's something that I think a lot of people, especially when they're like new to being sort of creative or like producing any art in any form, is that the first version of it never has to be any level of perfection, as long as you've made it exist in some way. And then if nothing ever comes of it, then that's fine, but at least you like it exists now. It's not just this like concept.
Yeah,
And that's important.
there's genuinely no such thing as a perfect story, and I wholeheartedly believe that knowing when to put the pen down is equally as important as a skill as picking it up in the first place.
Absolutely. So like when you read books, I assume you read books. It's just an assumption, but I think
I
it's
do.
probably a good
I would
one.
like to read more, but again, as we've established, there's only so much time.
Oh, absolutely. But like, do you? I'm not going to ask you what genres you like, but do you prefer something that is like more punchy and to the point, or do you like high levels of description?
I do enjoy description, but I think that it is something that is very easy to overdo.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do too much of it, you end up with a story that reads like a textbook, and that ends
Mm-hmm.
up being not really my thing. So I like description. I
Mm-hmm.
like description that is very, that gives a texture to things,
Mm-hmm.
sight, smell, sound. I want it all in there. I want to know what things look like and sound like and feel like and all that.
Yeah.
But I want to read a story, not a textbook. So somewhere in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to you. Like sometimes I like to like read something really punchy and like really short. Like give me like crazy blow by blow, like what are people thinking, but I don't want to know too much about the surroundings because I'm focused on like the situation that these people are in. But then sometimes I do want to like get into a world and walk around and touch the grass and stuff. But I think you're right. When you have like lore dumping and things like that, I just find that really tedious. I do skip past stuff like that. I'll
For me, it's
skip
not
it.
even like for me, it's not about the length of the story necessarily either.
Mm,
It's if you have a short story that reads like a textbook versus a incredibly long story that is very dynamic and engaging, the long story, despite taking many more hours, isn't going to feel like such a
mm,
drain on your time.
mm,
Some of and it's not that's not to say there aren't dry lore dumpy bits and stories I absolutely adore as well. To be fair, but
mhm.
some of the stuff I've enjoyed the most has been very long, and some of the stuff I've enjoyed the most has been incredibly short. And I think
Mm,
it's more of a stylistic thing than an actually like size of the story thing.
yeah. I I'm notorious for like closing a book and never picking it up again before it's finished if I don't enjoy it. Like if I can't get on with the writing style or the story or whatever it is, and I rarely get past like a third of the book if I can't get on with the writing. But I'm reading this book at the moment called Fever House by Keith Rossen or Rosen. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And like I saw the cover and I was like, this looks really cool. Lots of people whose recommendations I trust said this book is really, really good. I really am not enjoying the writing at all, but I am like, 'cause 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 this is the first time in a really, really long time where the story has been so good that I'm like putting up with the writing that I don't enjoy. And that was a very weird feeling. So I don't normally do that. Do you ever like put books down, or do you force yourself to read them?
No. If I'm not enjoying something, like, I mean, it's a spectrum, to be fair. If I'm like not in love with a book and I think it's just okay, I'll read it to the end. But if
Mhm.
I'm genuinely just not enjoying something,
Yeah.
why would I spend time on something on making myself go through something I actually do not enjoy when I could instead pick up something that I possibly will?
Hmm.
And I know that is completely counter to what I said about a certain podcast episode earlier, but that was work and it's different.
No, it is different when you have a responsibility to do something. It's like it's an obligation that you make to others. Whereas if the only obligation is to yourself and your time, then you can definitely like work with it differently. Oh my goodness. Um, but yeah, so it is. This time has gone by really quickly, and I do have a couple of questions that I would like to ask before I let you leave, if that's okay. If you've got time for that,
I have plenty of time. It's
sweet.
only 12 a.m.
I was going to say, I know that it's like stupid o'clock where you are, and I do appreciate you being awake at this time and talking to me. So this question goes for your writing. So both of them do. And what does success look like to you as a writer?
Okay.
You can be really honest.
I mean, I'm a pretty literal person,
Hmm.
and I think if you can just be satisfied with just writing a story, that is a really good thing.
Hmm.
But for me, success would be this becoming something that I can do sustainably and build a living off of. Uh, you know, I'm going to keep writing regardless because I
Hmm.
love telling stories and it's something I care a lot about. But just in pure terms of as an author, not as a writer, but as someone who's doing it as a job, I
Hmm.
would like this to be something that I can live off of. I don't need to be filthy rich necessarily, although I won't say no. Uh, but yeah, that's that sustainable, consistent income that I can have a life out of.
Mm.
That's success to me in a very literal sense, I guess. Not
I,
the most exciting or artistic answer, but you said honest.
no, I prefer honesty. Like, I think if I were to be asked the same question, I'd say success is like, do I love this thing? Also, success looks like, can I get a movie deal out of this thing? Like, it's totally dependent on the person. I think a lot of writers are in the same boat as you, and that wouldn't it be just the most incredible thing to have art fund your life rather than having to work to fund your art? Like, that's the
Yeah.
ideal, right?
I mean, it's kind of what I've got, so I would really like it to.
I believe in you, Daniel. You're going to do great. Um, so my final question for you is, if you could go back to when you first started writing and give yourself any advice, what advice would you give?
Okay, now first started writing was a really long time ago. We're talking like as a child. So,
What advice would you give young Daniel?
oh man, this may be one of the first questions I really don't necessarily have an answer to.
Bloody hell. Well, I've got time. You can think. I can sit in silence while you think about the answer.
It'll be very thrilling content.
Oh dear.
I I guess I would be practical about it, and I would probably just give very generic advice on
Mm.
improving my writing earlier. So it would be, that version of me in whatever timeline it is would be better sooner.
Mm.
So, you know, those grammar mistakes you've been making for the last 5 years, stop doing that. And the same advice I have been parroting just ever since I started putting my voice out there.
Mhm.
People do not care about your plot nearly as much as they do your characters. Characters are so much more important. Don't do a shit plot, but no one's going to care about the plot if they don't care about who it's happening to.
That's good advice. That's great advice. Well, hopefully somebody can take something from that, whether it's you, but it sounds like you've already taken it, or people that are listening to the show now. But yeah, I think it's always interesting to me to find out people's motivations and why they write, and the things that they've learned along the way. And I mean, you've got so many different fingers and different pies, and it's going to be very exciting to see how you grow as a creative and all the awesome things you're going to do. So in terms of the updates about the anthology, so will you be updating information about that on your website in the coming sort of months as things develop?
Yeah, there will be an announcement on my website. There will be posts probably on Twitter, and yes, I am going to keep calling it that. And and Blue Sky probably as well, even though I'm not nearly as good about updating there. So those are sort of the three places you're most likely to find out about it.
Sweet.
Plus, chances are high that I will sort of say to all the people who were in it, "Hey, it's everything's locked in. It's coming this date. You should probably tell people about it."
Fantastic. And as soon as that time comes, then I will also be talking about it. So you also have your podcast. So I'll put the links for those in the description of this episode if I haven't already. I think I have, but I'm going to double check for those who wish to have a look at it afterwards. You're also going to be on Selection Box doing a reading of your work on the 24th of July, not August. And that episode is scheduled on the live section of the Booked YouTube channel. So go check that out if you want to know the time and the date. So if people want to check out your work, there is the QR code here if you have something to scan it with, or there are the links in the description below. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here today and putting up with all of my getting dates wrong and having the wrong microphone on and stuff. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me, and I'll have to bully you into having me back because honestly, I'm not done.
You don't have to.
There's so much more to talk about. See, it's writers. We don't shut up once you get us started.
I agree. But what we can do is, I'm going to promise this in front of everyone. What we can do is, when you're ready for the anthology to come out, we should do like a group show with the writers.
Well, see, now I don't have to ask you about it, so that's perfect.
Yeah, I assume you were going to ask me about it then. But yeah, no, we should do that. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've made that promise now, so I have to follow through with it. But for those of you who are listening to the live show right now, thank you so much for being here. Whether you're listening to this live or recorded, I do appreciate your time. I'm gonna do that really cringy plug thing where I'm like, please, could you just subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm like 2 subscribers away from 400, and it would make my week if I could get up to that number. Not that it really matters; it's like such a non-number. But personal goals, because I do a lot of these and put a lot of time into them. So please, it doesn't cost you anything. I don't ask that very often, but I'm not on camera, so I feel brave today. But yeah, so I was gonna wave, and I realized nobody could see me. I'm waving at you all. I'm gonna click on the outro, and Daniel, I will see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Farewell.
Goodbye.